sometimes we can miss out on our blessings and the blessings that the Most High have for us because we're not paying attention. And sometimes we don't realize when we have grown out of certain patterns, certain versions of ourselves that no longer exist and no longer serves us. But because we have been so accustomed of being in that pattern, we don't realize that things has changed. So earlier I was playing a game on my phone, and I had won the game. I had won that particular level, and I didn't realize that I had won. And I had won pretty quick as well. I was remaining so many lives afterwards, after having won the game, having won the level. And when I saw the game said level up, I'm like, huh? How? How? So I had won the game without realizing. And the reason for that was because I had gotten so accustomed to the previous levels, because the previous levels were following a particular pattern. And that particular game that I had won in like seconds, I was playing it the same way that I was playing the previous game. And so I had won without even realizing that I had won, because I did not pay attention to the game that I was actually playing. I just went to play the game the same way that I was playing the previous levels. And this was a reminder for me. This was a beautiful message wrapped in disguise for me, because sometimes we don't realize that we have evolved and we are no longer the same versions of ourselves, the versions of the past. And sometimes because we have been so accustomed in playing the game in a particular way, being a particular way, that we subconsciously tend to bring in that old version, those old patterns of the past versions of ourselves into that new version of ourselves. But it cannot work. It cannot work because it is no longer the same game. The game has changed, it has evolved into something else, and therefore the things of the past can no longer be of value, of service in that new game, in that new version of ourselves. So we need to be mindful. We need to be mindful of our the way that we respond to the new version of ourselves, and recognize if we are not trying to bring past versions or past experiences or past beliefs into that new version of ourselves, because it no longer exists. And sometimes we are actually even forcing the new version of ourselves to leave a previous version, which it doesn't make any sense. So in order for us to remain in alignment with the new version of ourselves, we must need to pay attention to what we are doing, pay attention to the things that we are entertaining, pay attention to old patterns, old habits resurface in our new version. I hope I'm explaining this properly. But yeah, sometimes we can miss out on the blessings that are there, have already been there, just waiting, and we are still trying to play, to bring old. We're still trying to see things the way that our old version of ourselves saw it. But you're no longer that version of you. You're no longer that version of you.